Hello. Hello, hello, hello. What a time. What a life. What is anything anymore? Oh my gosh. Uh, we wanted to record this on the weekend, but also I've been going through a lot, so mental health was not there. So instead, we were like, well, we'll just record it before Halloween and we'll watch it Tuesday and then we'll record Wednesday. Then Tuesday came and it's just so we were like, okay, let's take tonight, let's like really conquer our mental health, and then we will watch the movie separately on Wednesday, and then we'll record in that. So that's what we did. See, I don't pay attention. Also, when I have it wasn't connected for me on our Streamlabs thing, so I never got to see it. I don't know. Like I said, it's not bad. I just want to know why it is the way it is. And it is, I can't put descriptions on videos anymore, and just I'll figure it out. Actually, I entirely forgot about it until I literally went to go hit record today, so I probably won't figure it out, but it'll get there. We're planning on, especially with Nugget getting really more consistent in sleep, we're planning on picking up streaming video games again, especially because we have so much coming out that are like long-standing channels series. Like we've got Chapter 5, I don't know, Poppy Playtime coming out in January. We know that Kindergarten 3 is coming out, Bendy's coming out. So we'll be popping around more. And like I said, as he's getting more, like he just went to sleep super fast. As he's getting more in routine, should be better. I'm going back to work on Monday, which will be a positive and a negative in my mental health. So we'll see. I've been having like nightmares about it all week because I just am an anxious person, but just catching y'all up. We had a Halloween party with our friends over the weekend. We almost all died of heat stroke because it's in Austin, and America thought a cute family costume would be experiments from Lilo and Stitch, which required onesies. I literally physically took scissors to my child's costume like that day and made it a short sleeve instead of a long sleeve, and it was a mess. We were cute as fuck, but it was a mess. And tomorrow we're just gonna stand out there and hand out candy. We're not gonna make the trek yet. No trick or treating. But yeah, no. Now that he's more boop. The first week or so is always the roughest. Yeah, like I said, I'm looking forward to going back, and I think that school will be really good for him because he requires a lot of stimulation that we cannot necessarily provide him at home. Like we have like this many activities and school has this many activities. So I think it'll be really good for him. I think he'll really enjoy it. But yeah, I'm more nervous for me. I've never been away from work for this long, and I just have anxiety about going back because I don't know what it's gonna be like. Do they hate me now? I don't know. They so don't. Out of a like need to prove that to myself today, I took the child to go hand out candy to everyone in my office. Just as I was like, I just need to go. Just need to go, get it over with, and see people. So I did. I went. Everyone's fine. They love him. They love me. They're excited for me to be back on Monday. But in my brain, that's not how it sounds. I'm also rambling a little bit because I have anxiety. I've been taking medicine every day this week because he went down pretty easy, it seems like. No, just faster than normal. James is sleepy. James is also ready to rant, he said, so. Let's get closer. I gotta move this. Oh, no, I really can't. You can pretend like you like me. So you remember when I said I was gonna figure out the setup?
Yeah. That didn't happen.
It didn't. But it functions. You're gonna put the summary up there. I feel
I
like
thought we said we liked that.
I feel like the summary hinders my creative potential.
Well, cry about it to someone else.
Hey, wow. You ready to get started? You want to say hi to anyone? Talk about anything? You're just gonna Oliver Putnam into the mic?
Hello.
And then 20 minutes is like where the actual
That's where the movie happens.
movie. You could literally just skip the rest of it and watch the. Alright, before we get too far into that train of thought, you ready? Okay. 3, 2, 1. It's Halloween. It won't be Halloween when you're listening to this. It's actually Halloween tomorrow. But it won't be Halloween when you listen to this. Actually, in fact, knowing our luck, it'll be Thanksgiving when you're listening to this.
The recording is a Halloween recording.
Yes.
The episode less so.
I mean, it's a ghost movie, so
Yeah.
Ghostbusters are Halloween movies.
There's ghosts in the movie for some of it.
There's ghosts in a lot of it.
Well,
now is there Frozen Empire in a lot of it? No.
No. Okay. Just let's take a moment
Okay.
to really, really understand what a successful franchise can do. Because Ghostbusters has been around since the 80s, right? It's been around for a long, long time. We're all intimately familiar with the IP that is Ghostbusters, right?
Bustin' makes me feel good.
Right. They made this movie for $100 million. Decent price for a modern day AAA studio movie. It made 201.9 million at the box office. So it made its budget, doubled its budget. Great.
Oh god.
Well
Does that
done.
mean we're gonna get another one?
Uh-huh.
Oh.
Here's the problem. This is not a very good movie.
Mm-mm.
And it's not, but here's the caveat to that statement. This is not by any means a bad movie. We've watched bad movies.
It's also not the worst Ghostbusters movie that exists.
Remember that time where they did it with just girls and Chris Hemsworth? And the script was like made of shit?
I've never actually watched it. We should
that one's bad. That one's bad.
We should probably put it on the list because that would be.
It is the worst Ghostbusters.
I know it is, but I've never watched it because I know it's the worst Ghostbusters.
Yeah. So just bearing in mind, this is not the best Ghostbusters. This is not the worst Ghostbusters.
Very mid.
This Ghostbusters movie is very mid, and it doubled its budget. That is what you can do with a well-received IP and a mediocre script.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Just imagine. Now think for yourself of all the really big budget movies with ensemble casts that are star-studded, that are fucking awful and don't make any money because their writing is so poor. There's a lot to critique about this movie in terms of its writing, but there are also a handful of genuine laugh out loud moments, which it needs to have. And I don't hate it. This movie, there's a phrase called nothing burger. And I've heard it. I don't know exactly what it means, but I like to interpret it. I like to
this phrase that I have no idea what it is.
I like to pretend I know what I'm talking about. I would consider a nothing burger movie to be like, you know, those what is it? The Impossible Burger?
Yes.
The burger that's made of meat that isn't meat?
Yes.
That makes the vegans feel good?
Yes.
Yes. Terrible. 10 out of 10 times bad. This is like that. This is a movie you put on in the background while you're decorating for Halloween.
Yeah.
This is a movie that you affectionately remember 3 moments from, and if you watch it too closely, you go, "Oh, oh, I dedicated brain power to this.
It was
Oh,
it was cute.
no,
It,
no, no." And I'll tell you why. It's because they chose to continue the trope of their main character being a useless fuck.
yeah, they really, no one has any character growth, and it felt somehow it felt more fan servicey than the first one.
Which was the most fan servicey.
Yeah.
But at least that one had like a story.
And it was an interesting story. Like
It was cool.
the fact that Spangler was like guarding this his entire life,
Yeah.
and his family has to come and like sort through his like
It was like
house.
far fetched, but it was at least like good.
Yeah.
It okay. Let's
Start.
let's run through parts of it.
So we start with a Shakespeare quote.
For reasons.
I have a lot of thoughts about it, but my main thought was it didn't bode well for the movie, and I didn't. I wrote it down because we always take notes, you know, and I wrote it down not knowing what the movie would be like. But the last time that I'm aware of that this quote was used in a movie was Twilight.
They
New
use
Mo-
this quote in Twilight?
I believe it's New Moon.
Oh no.
That like Bella reads it at the beginning because they're studying it in class,
Oh.
and so
Oh no.
yeah, so I was like, I feel
Man.
like this doesn't bode well for y'all, and it didn't.
No, bad. Very bad.
But yeah, so we open up on this Shakespeare quote, which I believe is from Romeo and Juliet, and then we go to the past,
1906 or something.
1904.
Oh, so close.
You were really close.
I really gambled on the year.
Where we find ourselves in New York,
In some building.
in the adventuring building.
It's the building where the people in the adventuring society meet.
Yes.
Because that's a thing that we have now.
I actually think that's a real thing.
Sure. I don't know.
And the fire department has been called. And I thought it made sense at the beginning, but then when we revisit this scene in a later flashback, I was confused because why would the fire department be called for ice?
I imagine there was sort of like an end all be all emergency services, and those are probably the only guys who can do any sort of emergency medical stuff.
Okay.
So maybe there was like a medical emergency or something, and they were like, well, the firemen know how to do that.
Were firemen even EMTs back then?
EMTs didn't exist.
So no.
We invented mobile doctors later.
So no. So would the firefighters know?
I don't know. I genuinely do not know why any of the. I don't know why any event in the movie happens.
Okay. Long story short, there's this chant playing on this. What's it called?
An ancient device. A phonograph.
Phonograph. It's the phonograph, and it's this ancient chant, and everyone in the room is frozen solid, dead.
Except for one weird individual in the corner.
There was someone alive in there?
Yeah, the lady in the armor who had the ball. Did you watch the movie?
I did.
This is okay. But caveat also, this is the first time in all of our history of doing the show where we watched the movie separately because we just didn't have time this week. But we knew we wanted to get one in for Halloween, so we watched it separately today. So what happened in the first scene? Fire department shows up, they bust in the doors, the room is the chant's playing on the thing, and the room is frozen. There's spikes everywhere, and there's what you will later find out is a fire master in the corner holding the ball in sort of like a meditative state.
Okay.
And they explain it. They give it the briefest of explanations later when they talk about how there was one random fire master who happened to be there who uh it was his grandmother, I think,
Mm-hmm.
who trapped the entity in the orb.
I knew she did. I guess I just didn't see her. But to be fair, to explain how I had to watch this movie because I am still at home with the baby, I watched it in tiny form on my phone,
Oh,
so like picture in picture, so that I could take notes
you didn't miss a ton.
while I was watching it still.
I gave up on notes so that I could watch the movie on my whole phone.
See, we chose different paths. But yeah, so okay, that
So
explains
yes.
something that I had a question about because I felt like we just yada yada'd how he got back into the orb, but never mind, they explained it. I just didn't pay attention. So,
Yes.
and then
Fast forward
to modern day Manhattan, where the Ghostbusters, which is just the Spangler family, which is, in case you don't remember, Phoebe, who is just as awful as she was the first time around.
Phoebe is a shitty little teenager.
Yeah, Trevor, her brother, who's just
a shitty little 18-year-old.
And literally, the only reason Trevor exists in this movie is to cash in on the Finn Wolfhard hype.
They needed his name and face to be in the movie, so he was there.
And
he doesn't do fuck all.
But he didn't he was there for the first one, and then they just had to keep him in the second one because Trevor, you could take Trevor out of this story, and the movie still happens.
Not a single thing changes if you take Trevor out. Nothing.
But it's wild. It's Finn Wolfhard, and it's spooky, and it's 80s themed, so
you gotta
get him because Stranger Things is a thing that exists.
Hey, you know what? For Finn, get that money, bro. Get that Sony money.
Oh, he literally
cashed a check to show up to set for 10 days and speak 10 lines. Dude, easiest paycheck of his fucking life. He looks at the Stranger Things set and goes, "Man, fuck that."
He's like,
"That's hard. This was easy."
Mom disrespects, to summarize what's happening. They're chasing a ghost. Mom disrespects the kids disrespect mom, and they catch a ghost. And that's pretty much the whole sequence there.
Yeah.
And then
yeah.
I focused on a whole rant that I will give the movie this. The minute I finished typing it out, answered my question. But I wrote a whole rant because it's when did we move to Manhattan? Why did we move to Manhattan? How can we afford to move to Manhattan? Because last I checked, this family was broke as shit. Poor. And none of them are getting paid for this. Finn makes that very clear. None of them are getting paid anything. And they don't do any other jobs because this is at rush hour that they're busting this ghost. So we can assume that they don't have any other work. So how are they living in 2024 New York? How? Explain. I have questions. And then the movie decided to
answer that question immediately.
Literally in the next clip was oh, they're being funded by
Zedmore.
Yeah. They're Winston. They're being funded by Winston, and he gives them money for groceries and lets them live in the old firehouse. And that's it. So they have no money for anything else, but they've got
pretty much.
They've got food, and I guess you could call it shelter. It's falling apart. No one's been upkeeping the firehouse.
So they catch this ghost using a new ghost trap. It's the same ghost trap that they've always used, but now it's on a drone, which is kind of fun.
Or an RC car.
Yeah, but they had that in the last one.
Yeah, they created that one in the last one.
The drone is new and exciting. So
that's why we couldn't catch it with the RC car.
Yeah. So they catch the ghost, and nothing really happens. However, Gary, is that his name?
Mm-hmm.
Paul Rudd?
Mm-hmm.
He can't drive a car that doesn't have power steering. as he is completely incapable of keeping the car under control at all, and crashes the car into a parade of city e-bikes.
I don't think it's so much that he can't do power steering. I think he has a horrible time staying focused on the damn road.
Well, he does spend most of the movie driving, talking to people with his head turned,
Yeah, because he was like
completely looking to the side.
he was prematurely celebrating, and that's why he crashed the car.
Mhm.
But we then go to the mayor's office because it's this trope that exists, and I feel like it's existed since the Incredibles movie, where we have heroes of any type, superheroes, Ghostbusters, and they save the world. But often, they're fighting supernatural forces. And when you fight supernatural forces, you cause a lot of damage to the things around you. The Avengers do it, the Incredibles did it, Ghostbusters do it. They make mention of the Statue of Liberty nonsense. But like it comes to this age-old argument of like, does them saving us like doesn't it make it negligible? Like, would you rather them just not do it? And like I've always been confused by that argument. Like, are we just supposed to like not let the superheroes do the superheroing, or and we'll like just take those losses? I'm confused. But yeah, so the mayor's like, you caused lots of damage. Meh. Also, you're a minor. You can't be working here. Meh. And then
They word salad their way into getting Phoebe kicked out of the Ghostbusters. Like it wasn't gonna go like that. Nothing was gonna go wrong, and then Gary literally goes and tries to salvage the situation and immediately makes it worse.
and he
Like
goes,
the whole reason Phoebe has to be benched from the Ghostbusters is because Gary tries to fix a problem that does not need fixed. That guy is clearly not your friend. He is clearly an antagonist towards you. Like the behavior you display trying to smooth things over with him is aligned with like trying to bribe a government official openly in the public park.
Sure.
Like you don't need to do that. And lo and behold, he threatens to have them shut down extra hard because they have a minor working on the team.
and to be fair, yes, I see chat. Minors can work some hours, especially with parental permission, and like the whole thing goes down because
I don't
like
know how the labor laws work in New York State. It works different. Like in the South, you can exploit children a ton.
well, generally with parent permission, you can start working in high school. But my whole thing was Gary, James is right, tried to like go in and defend Phoebe, and he's like, without her, like we really couldn't do any of this. Like,
And saying that is like saying she's the reason the city is destroyed. Dumbass.
and the mayor goes, "Who are you? Are you even her like dad or what?" And he's like, "Well, no." And I'm like, "Okay, but her mom is like
Right there.
right there." Like, and her mom does nothing. Like, I just
And then she gets mad at Gary for not ever being an asshole to her daughter. The whole movie's so fucking stupid, man. It's the script. The script for it's like Marshall P. Pope wrote the script. Okay, Marshall P. Pope is not a real person. Marshall P. Pope is a character from a television show called Only Murders in the Building. He is a writer who's not a good writer.
No.
He's a very bad writer, actually. He has no talent at all in terms of words. And that is made evident through the 4th season
Yes.
of the show. This script is so bad. Like, the good parts are like jokes. There's no story here that's like worth telling.
no, and like we kind of said at the beginning, you really like spend this entire movie called Ghostbusters Frozen Empire not in a Frozen Empire. It feels, you know what it feels like? Oh my god. It feels like a decom movie.
It feels like a decom movie, or it feels like if you took all the episodes of Game of Thrones before they breached the wall and made it into an hour.
The reason it feels
they constantly talk about how the walkers are coming and winter is coming, and it's coming, and it's coming, but it isn't. Winter's edging. It's edging. It's gonna get there, maybe someday, and then the movie's over.
The reason I say it's like a decom though is because it's like all this like really like in-depth lore and story and all this stuff leading up to this like conflict that lasts 10 minutes of the movie and then it's over. Like
You had $100 million. You could have spent 5 of them to get a good script. You could have.
but anyways, we go and see that
It's not anyways, really, because the rest of your notes and the rest of this episode and the next one, every problem we have is going to hinge on the fact that the script is bad.
I was more just saying we need to move on.
Oh, okay, that's fine.
With more parts of the plot
That's
other
fine.
than the mayor's office.
I can go for like 3 hours on this movie because it pisses me off.
So we go back to the fire station, and we find out that I was right. They pour shit. Place is falling apart. There's black mold apparently, which really isn't black mold. It's just Slimer.
It's just a Slimer
because they can't help themselves. But so yeah, we go back and they, Phoebe's pissed off. Trevor's mad because he's an adult not being treated like an adult, and they
no 18-year-old has ever been treated like an adult properly.
And then they put the trap in the storage thing. I never learned what it's called.
The big trash bag of ghosts.
Where they put all the traps. Also, I feel like that's just a general statement about Ghostbusters lore. I feel like that's a bad system because you have to like keep making new traps.
You get the trap back.
You get the trap back? Okay,
yeah.
Never mind.
You stick it in there and it sucks. It's similar to the system that they have set up at the other location where like it sucks the thing out and puts it in another thing. It just sucks the ghost out.
That's what I thought.
And then you get your trap back.
That's what I thought. But then later on she mentions like trap by getting it trap by trap out of the storage thing, and I was like,
well, yeah, because you could only fit so many ghosts in a trap, and then you'd have to take it from there and take it to the other place, and then you'd have to go back and do it again.
All right.
I've got answers to your questions because the movie's simple. The movie is dumb.
This is what happens when we watch them separately. I wouldn't have stupid questions written down.
Maybe we should watch them separately from now on because we just make content on content.
All right, so we then we then find out that the storage bank of traps for ghosts is overloading. It's full.
Pretty darn near full.
Which is fair because they've been shoving ghosts in it for like
since 1984.
Yeah.
It's 40 years.
Stop saying that. They said it several times in the movie, and I'm not okay with it.
There's 40 years of ghosts in that thing. That's a lot of years of ghosts.
It's a lot of years that the Ghostbusters have been around.
And that's since before I was born.
10 years before I was born, which means it's 30 years.
Yeah. Aww. Sweetheart.
Shut up, you're 29.
Time marches on and death is coming for us all.
All right. We then jump over to Ray and the child, if you remember, called Podcast.
No. First we go to the park. Because Phoebe's mad that she got benched.
Nope. That's wrong.
Later? Oh, good. That's nice. That's wrong.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's go to Ray.
Yeah. I know because I have notes about the fucking...
Why is the child named Podcast?
I don't remember. They explained it in the first one. I don't care enough to.
Wow. It's really stuck with us.
Podcast. I knew who he was. So, like, I knew who the character was. I did not remember Lucky at all.
I didn't remember Podcast or Lucky. And then they introduced Lars. I didn't remember Walter Peck, the antagonist mayor. I don't remember him, and he's from the old one.
I only remember because, like, the mayor always hates the Ghostbusters, and they did, like, a big reveal, and I was like, I bet that's the same guy that they had the last time.
I've never been a Ghostbusters fan.
What? With all your family's love of Halloween, I just don't understand how that is a possibility that you don't love the Ghostbusters. Please tell us more.
I did spend part of this movie going, where's Egon? And then I was like, oh shit, that's right, he died.
He, like, died.
He died in real life.
He also... his ghost is gone too.
Yeah.
There's like so much dye for him.
So much dye.
But yeah, so Ray and Podcast are running a YouTube channel together.
Yep.
And Podcast is in New York, and he told his parents that he's at space camp, and they didn't like.
And now he's living
vet
with
that.
this strange man that's Dan Aykroyd.
They didn't vet that, check that. They didn't think they had to pay for anything. Like, none of that was any kind of how checked out are your parents, Podcast? Like,
deeply. And they're foreign.
what? Yeah,
he speaks to them in another language.
He speaks them in Korean.
Is it Korean?
That's what the subtitle said.
Ah.
So I really like the idea of Ray running a YouTube channel, though. And it's really funny, like, the juxtaposition of Podcast, who is
young and hip and in the know.
I guess they'd be Gen Alpha. They're not even Gen Z.
Yeah, he'd have been born in like 2006, 2008.
Well, because Phoebe's 14, so they would have to be Gen Alpha.
2010.
So Gen Alpha, and then obviously Gen X. Just the juxtaposition. He's like whispering in his ear for like Ray to tell them to like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Yeah. It's a really actual bit of cleverness in this movie that is trash.
Like I said, a lot of the laugh out loud bits are like good jokes like that, and there are several.
Another one comes when the whole premise of their YouTube show is that like people bring Ray haunted artifacts and he like tests them in front of the camera and the person, and if it doesn't have any spirit in it, apparently Podcast takes a giant hammer and just crushes the object.
What's really funny about this whole scene to me is like they run this show exactly like a hokey, full of shit ghost hunting show in real life.
Mm-hmm.
Only he does have a device that will tell you if there is an actual ghost in the item, which is hilarious.
And he'll buy the item from you if there's a ghost in it.
It's just funny to me that they were able to so perfectly lampoon actual ghost shit. It's like the ghost version of Pawn Stars. Like, it's so funny that they actually did that and did it well.
But also, like, he crushes, like, this lady's, like, husband's watch.
And immediately was like, sorry, lady. The hammer gets the views.
And, okay,
Way to be a fucking asshole, dude. You could have told him before.
That's messed up, but also, if you're just bringing this guy your object and you haven't checked out the YouTube channel and don't know that's what happened, I also feel like that's a little bit on you.
I love that there's then a cutaway to the line of guests.
Yep.
And they all look at each other like, oh, do I really want to do this?
I love it, though, because it's like, it would be like going on Hot Ones and not knowing that you're going to
eat 10 rings of death.
yeah, like, it just is so funny. And then Phoebe shows up to talk to Ray and Podcast. And that's when we kind of find out about the whole space camp thing and all. We also find out that, to the bane of everyone's existence, in film and out of film, Podcast brought all the mini Marshes back from whatever small town and wherever.
Oklahoma. Somerville, Oklahoma.
Wherever, from Somerville, from the last movie, because, you know, that's this series' Minions, and it's marketable, and...
You can sell 1 million dolls that look like the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man.
I, in some ways, do like them more than the Minions, though, because they're, like, little masochistic beings that are, like,
they're just
chaos.
They're just little terrorists.
Like, and later on, when he's, like, smushing his face into the cigarette burner, it's all melted and toasted. I don't know why it brings me so much joy to watch these little sociopathic marshmallows just go hurt themselves.
Because that, to you, is the same as the gibberish-speaking minions to children. And some adults.
Fair enough.
There you go.
So yeah. And then we go back upstairs where Ray is basically on Pawn Stars. And this guy who's in Only Murders, which is going to come up again. This actor.
Kunail.
Yeah, he
plays Nadim Razmati.
Yeah, he comes in and he brings all these artifacts from his grandmother's house because he's just basically...
He's just trying to make a buck.
On anything the entire movie.
Yep, that's his whole shtick.
again, we don't see a lot of character growth from many of the people, and that's his character trait. His one character trait is that he would like to make quick money.
Yep.
And so he sells he sells this orb, and this is what this apple of Eden looking orb. He sells it to Ray for $50. And Ray takes his little scanner and it breaks the scanner. And also, some reason, in the process of doing that, awakens the thing inside.
Yeah, we're gonna yada yada everything about this orb and what is inside.
And because it's awakened, it now has powers that can travel large distances of Manhattan.
Yep.
That's it. That's all I got for you. There will be very little explanation later about it.
There will be virtually no explanation by the word.
And then he walks away. He takes his money, he leaves, and he's standing in front of Nadim is. He's standing in front of this like grill, and the fire's like reaching towards him. And I thought that meant that he was like possessed, because that's kind of what you expect in a movie about ghosts when you had spooky objects that broke the paranormal reader. But it's not, and it doesn't get explained for a while, so hold on to that. Flashback to the worst B plot of the movie, which is Trevor and Slimer.
Every once in a while, we're just gonna check in on what Trevor's up to, and he's always up to 0 things.
They gotta get Finn his money and his screen time, all right. And it's literally the scene of Finn shoves his finger in this hole in the ceiling that's leaking, because that's your thought process.
I always want to see Finn shove his finger in a hole.
Is he a minor? I feel like
no, Finn Wolfhard's like 22.
I don't know anymore. Listen, when I knew him, he was like
he was a baby.
But anyways, he goes upstairs, and for those of you who have ever seen a Ghostbuster thing, before he even crosses that thing, before I even say the words that it's Slimer, you see this green ooze and you see this giant pile of snack trash, and you go, well, of course it's gonna be Slimer, because
of course we have two tricks, and they are the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man and Slimer.
We just really have to do our fan servicing, because that's why people are here, is to play the hits. We just want to see the same movie.
Yeah.
Again.
Yeah. That's what I would like to do. I would like to watch Ghostbusters 1, but with different people.
See, I felt like it was Ghostbusters 2, because
okay.
Because
I can see
the last one they did the dogs.
Yeah, but see, Ghostbusters 2 had like a plot.
It was a god who was getting people to do his will, and he needed a baby. This one, he had a baby. There was a baby. So you're right. There was more plot. There was a baby that needed sacrificed and all this stuff. I don't know.
I'm telling you, at least Ghostbusters 2 had a plot and a script.
And then James was right, except the Wikipedia page is out of order. Phoebe throws a temper tantrum because they go all out. They all get a call to go fight ghosts, and she's benched. So she throws a temper tantrum and
goes to play chess by herself in Central Park, I think.
Yeah. Let me talk to you about.
Tell me about New York. I knew you were gonna. I haven't looked at your notes. I haven't talked to you about this movie since we watched it, and I saw her go set up chess in Central Park at night, and I went, "Oh, America's gonna have thoughts."
Well, let's talk about how the fact that is 10 times more dangerous for a 14-year-old girl than going ghost hunting with her family, where she's supervised and like has a weapon. No, she just got her little box of chess pieces out in the middle of freaking Manhattan in the dark, late at night at 14.
I thought you were going to talk about how there's no one else around.
That doesn't surprise me because we don't actually know what time it is.
Night.
Yeah.
Is Central Park frequently vacated?
A lot of people aren't in Central Park unless they're homeless at night.
Where are my homeless people?
Not at the chessboards.
Are there not chess grandmasters who are like so deeply addicted to chess that they never leave and they're just there? Is that not a thing?
No,
I don't know.
they have their own setups and shit at home.
I don't know.
They're playing it. It's 2024. They're playing it on a fucking computer.
I've never been there. I think that city probably smells like pee.
No.
I don't know anything about New York.
I know, I need to take you. Anyways. Ghost hunting, way safer for the 14-year-old. The whole ghost chess scene felt so unnecessary. Like, and dumb. It was, I hated it. They tie it in loosely later, but it was dumb. It's really so that they can make Phoebe be friends with the ghost girl that plays chess with her, so that the ghost girl can convince Phoebe to help the demon later.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's it.
Yeah, Melody is being controlled by Garaka.
Loosely.
Loosely controlled by Garaka.
He can actually control the ghost.
Here's the thing.
And she's just like, I can let you see your family again. And she's like,
here's the thing. Okay?
Oh, James sat in his chair.
Garaka is your mainline antagonist. This evil entity that has been trapped in the brass orb. And we learn a bunch of his lore later when we get a guest appearance by, what's his name?
Patton Oswalt.
Patton Oswalt.
Because again, we gotta play the hits.
Now, they don't, there's not really an explanation as to how he has power or what the limits of said power are, but they make a big deal about how he's trapped and therefore not able to be effective. And he makes a big show of being incredibly effective while still in the orb.
We also, which I talk about later, but since we're talking about the fucking orb, again, I'm going to keep calling it this Apple of Eden fucking bullshit, because what it looks like. But we know that this is a powerful orb. Ray did the test on it. He brings it. Again, we'll get there. He brings it, and he tells people it's a really dangerous thing. It broke the fucking scale. It has off-the-chart fucking levels of
psychokinetic energy.
And then we proceed to, for the rest of the fucking movie, treat it just like it's another piece of ghost possessed shit. Like, we do not put any special care into it. We do not do any more tests on it before we just try to extract shit from it. Like, we don't do anything else, and we just kind of put it in this glass case.
Yeah.
It doesn't have any other security for this incredibly dangerous orb that everybody knows and acknowledges is super, super dangerous.
Yeah. No, nothing makes any goddamn sense the whole time. Yeah, anyway, so Phoebe plays chess at the park with Melody, who is just sort of like a nothing character.
She's a plot device.
Yeah.
That's literally all she is.
She doesn't serve a single functional purpose and can't interact well with the corporeal world.
You could write her out of this movie
and still probably have the movie.
Yeah, you can still get Phoebe into that thing and have her do all the shit. Like,
yeah, we could strip away a lot of this movie actually, and still the movie could movie. What happens next?
They call Winston's people to come look at the broken trap container thing. And the only reason I care about this is because it's one of the funniest jokes in the entire movie, except it's not funny because as a millennial, it just makes you want to like curl in a ball and start like shaking. But the whole thing is like, didn't you guys prepare for like the containment unit to like fill up? And I'm gonna find her name on this page, I swear to God.
Annie Potts.
Is that the character's name?
No, but that's the actress.
Yeah, I want the character's name. She's like a staple in
Janine.
Janine. Um, Janine's like, well, it was the 80s. We didn't really care or think about the future back then. And I was like, ouch. It's a solid joke, and it does exactly what it's intended to do, which is just make you go, yeah, and that's why things are the way they are now. Thanks. Um,
My mortgage is $2,000. My mortgage is $2,000.
which is somehow less than most people's rent. There's a problem.
God damn it.
Then we find out that they've just apparently been making a whole ghost lab and didn't tell the new Ghostbusters that for
At all.
no reason, really.
Yep, they didn't tell anybody.
So we go to the new special ghost lab, which is where we see Lucky, which if you didn't remember her, don't worry, neither did we.
She also serves no purpose.
She's an intern, because apparently all the kids came from Oklahoma to be in Manhattan to work for Ghostbusters. And their parents were just like, yeah, sure. At least Lucky would be Trevor's age, so she's like 18 and she's technically interning over the summer.
You know, watching the movie, it is dumb, but talking about the movie makes it exponentially more dumb.
When you say the things out loud.
When you talk about what happens, you go, oh, it's dumber.
Yeah.
It's dumber than I thought it was. No.
Podcast is funny. He has several good, like, one-liners in this scene. And
yeah,
honestly, he's kind of one of those characters that, like, carries it through for you, even though, like, his whole premise for being there is
really contrived.
Yeah, but he's funny. The kid's funny, the actor's funny. He gets all the best lines. And then Ray brings the orb. They talk about how they have all these ghosts locked in little, like, proton
field enforced
rooms. They get their, like, own little special room, which is only for the special ghosts that don't get put in the extractor machine and then put in the storage facilities for reasons. Because, you know, if we did that, then the movie couldn't happen.
No.
But we also don't put the orb in one of these special proton rooms at all, ever. Even after we see...
Ray also does not treat it like it's a big deal. Like, he knows it broke his device, and he takes it to Winston and gives it to that team and goes, meh, good luck figuring out what's in this thing. Bye, and fucks off.
Yeah, but after they test it, which they're about to do, well, they're not even going to test it. They're just going to put it in the machine and try to extract the spirit out of it. Even after that happens and that thing shuts down the entire facility, they still don't do any extra care of it at all.
It's like their test to see if someone needs brain surgery is to just do brain surgery, but they've never done one before.
They also are like, she's like, why haven't any of the ghosts gotten out yet? And it's because the guy was telling what's his fucking name? Garaka was telling them not to. Like, he was just testing the water.
He was flexing.
And so, like, none of the ghosts get out this time. But, like, after that happens, maybe we put the orb in one of the special proton rooms. It wouldn't do anything, as we find out later, but
right.
At least that would have been, like, a logical thought process.
Sure.
And Lucky, who has literally been there practicing to catch ghosts, like, they have a whole training room for her, doesn't do shit during this entire thing.
She looks around.
She's like, and she gets spooked and she, like, runs away. And I'm like, what the fuck are you turning for, girl? Like, suit up, grab your fucking pack, do something.
James Acaster's in this movie too. He's pretty good. He plays Dr. Lars. So
then we leave all that and go back to the fire station with the Spangler family,
where we pretend to do
they get
acting.
They get called on another call. Phoebe doesn't get to go, but while they're gone, they get another call on a landline? ? They get another call for another ghost. So Phoebe
And podcast.
grabs podcast, and they go and try to catch a ghost. Turns out, oh no, it's Phoebe's friend, chess girl.
Melody.
I know her name.
Okay.
I'm being.
Oh, you're being an asshole.
Yes.
Gotcha. Carry on.
And because it's this person, it's the spirit that Phoebe has talked to one time, she freezes.
Intimately connected with.
She freezes. She can't hurt the magical chess ghost. No. She can't do that. And then she causes more damage that will not be brought up or talked about.
She blows out a whole window of a diner.
And doesn't catch the ghost.
That's so funny. Oh my god.
So, like, there's just so many, like, loose threads in this movie, and that's one of them, is, like, the fact that Phoebe's not allowed to be busting ghosts. Damages property, which she's in trouble for busting ghosts. And this will not get brought up at all.
Yep.
And she also, it's like, Phoebe, you had one chance, you're so mad because they won't let you bust the ghost because you're too immature and you're a minor. And then you go and you try to do the thing, and then you just, like, prove them right by being emotionally immature.
And then when they call you on being emotionally immature later, you're like, fuck you. And it's like, well, okay, that's emotionally immature. I mean, there's the character arc for Phoebe is be an asshole.
There is no
until
arc.
You get your way.
Yeah.
That's her whole character.
There are 3 notes that happen because Phoebe tracks down Melody, invites Melody into your house, which also, like, for the record, don't invite any supernatural entity into your house ever.
No vampires, no werewolves,
no
big bad
ghosts.
wolves.
Just
nothing.
don't. Like,
invite your friends and no one else.
Talk to them outside.
Talk to the ghosts outside.
But I wrote, I don't care for this B plot. Over this whole scene with Melody and Phoebe, you don't really need to know what's happening in it until the end. I don't care for this B plot. I suddenly don't trust Melody. Fucking knew it not to trust Melody, because guess what? B plot, not B plot. Melody's being controlled, which we already told you in the podcast, but Melody's being controlled by Garaka.
But wait, we don't learn that yet.
Yes, we do.
No, we don't.
We do, because after she leaves...
Oh, yeah, she leaves the firehouse, then Garaka...
She's out walking in the middle of the street.
And bullshit.
Garaka's telepathically ghost whispering across miles to her, and she's like, does it have to be her? And, yeah, fucking stupid.
So dumb.
So
dumb.
We get some more really funny parts with Nadim. And we should probably wrap up here because this episode's going a little bit long. We're about halfway through my notes. Kumail
Nanjiani is so good.
Yeah, he does a great job. They basically show up at his apartment because they find out that he was the one that brought the orb. And so they go to question him. And we'll pick up from Sex Dungeon in the next episode.
Oh my god.
So, see you then. That's not the right button. There we go. This movie, guys. You guys picked I thought, we could have watched Bring It On. We could have actually
been just as shit.
It wouldn't have. There's actually a story there and good plot. I don't
believe it. They just dance.
Well, it's about to go.
It's like Just Dance the movie.
That's called Step It Up, sir. And that's a whole other franchise.
Just Bring It On, Step It Up. It's the same phrase twice.
They're basically the same thing, except one's cheer and one's dancing. Ghostbusters. Frozen Empire. Part 1. All right.
Man, I'd kill for the Empire to be frozen at any point in time.
God. That's my biggest complaint about this fucking movie is it's like Frozen. The whole title's Frozen Empire, and we talk about this fucking ice for the entire. You're right. It is like Game of Thrones. We talk, we talk, we talk.
It happens for 10 minutes and then it's over.
Yeah. All right, guys. I'm gonna put your vote up. We'll get to it when we get to it. We might do an Only Murders episode before then, but I don't really want to talk about Only Murders because Only Murders is just it's genuinely so good that I wouldn't have anything bad to say about it, and it's more like a whodunit mystery, and you should really watch those for yourself. The whole show is fantastic. Every season's great, and I can't wait till the 5th one. This is not what I need to be looking at. Bring It On is not only being requested by me, it's being requested by other people. So it's going on here. Bree, make sure you click the right movie this time. Otherwise, I'm going to start believing it's not something wrong with your phone and that it's you secretly want Bring It On and you just don't want to admit it. Oh my god, it's so good, Bree. Like, it's in like my top 5 best shows of all time. Along with season 1 of Umbrella Academy, but alright, so we've got Bring It On. We're gonna put the BFG on here because James is trying to finish his Roald Dahl quest. One that I've heard before is the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. I think that's what it's called. It's the new Hunger Games one. There's so many on here. Oh, we'll do Anchorman too because we did do Anchorman. Oops. Didn't add a new option. Anchorman 2. I'm cowardly selecting the movie and see what happens. Alright. I'm gonna let you guys put this vote up. There's some good ones in there. There's some requested ones on there. We're making it through the list, guys. It's a very disorganized list, but it's a list nonetheless. So here we go. We'll be right back. Do, 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 do. This is not what I thought I was going to be coming back to. Yeah, God, I gotta watch it, don't I? I haven't even read the book. All right, everyone good? Everyone happy? Closing it. Hunger Games, huh? You know, I just recently was like revisiting Hunger Games though, and like I haven't watched the movies, but I watched all the watched some like highlight clips because I forgot how much I like Haymitch as a character and his stories coming out, and so I was watching. Whoa, it shook the whole world. I was watching some of his like clips and stuff. Um, so all right, watch some Hunger Games that isn't Hunger Games. I mean, it is. It's literally Hunger Games, but it's not Katniss. This is the Snow story. We get to find out about Snow. James said, "I'm here." I'm excited for the Haymitch one because I like Haymitch, and it's cool to see his games. So if they make a movie out of that, which they will, because
It's a
money.
It's a money printing press.
But all right. Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. Or I believe as it's written on my actual notes, the Ballad of Fuckery Snakes.
Oh.
The Ballad of Fuckery Snakes, because I didn't want to write it all out. Alrighty. Let's get this next episode recorded. Are we doing bad?
Mm-mm. Oh, are we doing bad? Oh, we're getting murdered.
Hmm.
But we're fielding an AHL roster. We're missing like $30 million worth of players.
I care about hockey now, guys.
It's great.
And I'm kicking ass in my fantasy league, except James is probably going to beat me this week. Although his goalie, not like blocking any shots yesterday, really helped me out.
Yep. I have ground to make up.
But enough about that. You don't care about that. You're here for more Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. All right. Well, James and I were talking about this on the break. We haven't been weary about talking about a movie this much since like the first one that came to my head was like Viva Rock Vegas, where it's just like and Cats.
At least Cats was fun to talk about because it was so bad.
Yeah, again, that's kind of how I feel. Like it's more like Viva Rock Vegas, where it's just like there was an alien and
it's like bad for no reason.
Yeah. All right. Let's rock and roll. Sex dungeons.
You intro. I don't have anything.
So, sex dungeon.
Oh my god.
Pick it up right where we left off.
Sometimes, you go looking for Pop-Tarts and you find your grandma's weird brass sex dungeon.
Yeah. Which they say.
That's a joke in the movie. And it's
a children's movie.
It's not a children's movie. It's PG-13. It is a funny joke.
No, the whole scene in there is great with Nadim and Trevor and Lucky and that other guy.
Lars.
They go in there and it looks like a sex dungeon. There's chains on the wall and
weird potential weaponry. It's a whole thing.
Really, it's a place where the grandma's been keeping
the
orb behind the spice rack.
Because let's talk about the Fire Masters briefly.
Yeah. Firebending. Woo. Bet you didn't think Avatar: The Last Airbender was coming into your Ghostbusters movie, but here we are.
Yeah, we're going to get more lore from Patton Oswalt later when we need to do a lore dump to make sense of the last hour's worth of movie. But basically, Nadim's grandmother was this big time fire master who helped trap Garaka in the orb and kept the orb in a bronze room, in a bronze orb, that was soundproofed because Garaka is weak to brass for reasons that will
It
not be
doesn't
explained.
conduct psychic energy
Sure. I don't know.
or something. They said some stuff, but it was so yada yada that my brain didn't even hold on to it as lore. And I'm a theorist. I hold on to lore, and I was just like, that, yeah, sure, okay. But yeah, no, brass.
So they bust out another one of the like EKG meter readers or whatever and start like waving it around the room looking for haunted shit. And when they wave it past Nadim, it spikes real hard. And he's like, "What does that mean?" And they're like, "You're coming with us." And then he goes with them for no reason, which is insane.
I mean, they're kind of like a government entity.
No. Now, also, it should be mentioned that when the big power surge happened because Garaka fucked with Winston's facility, one ghost did escape. Yeah.
Not till later.
No, because he was in podcast equipment before everybody went to the house.
Carry on.
So, podcast has his gear with him, his ghost busting gear, and is now got a little haunted motherfucker in it. So there's that. It doesn't really contribute much until later when the gang will go to the library. God, this movie's unnecessarily complicated.
So speaking of the whole library sequence, we're going to do a fan serve with the ghost busting motorcycle. And then we're going to do another dose of fan serve with the librarian, head of the library, I don't know what they're called. Being the same one that it was back in the old movies. My biggest issue with this movie is its fan serve. And James and I were talking about this briefly earlier on the phone when we were reviewing the movie kind of together. You can do a fan serve movie for the first one because it gets the old audience in, gets the new audience in. You can kind of like get really everybody hyped about it, which is what the first one did. It was really good, and it was a good movie. I liked Ghostbusters Afterlife. But then you have the hard task of now you have to write new shit. You can't just rely on fan serving. And this one feels like it really just doubled down on the fan serving. Like, now we're in the firehouse, and oh, here comes the ghost busting motorcycle, and oh, the mayor's back. And it's just like, it got weary. It made me weary.
They didn't write any new shit.
They just were like, how many other things can we cram in this one fucking movie? All right. So
now what?
Patton Oswalt's here.
Yeah, we're at the library, and it's Podcast, Ray,
and Phoebe. And Podcast brings me so much happiness in this scene. Like, and Patton Oswalt's really great. Like, I like Patton Oswalt. So of all the scenes, the library scene's pretty actually cool. I like that there's another library that they go to underneath the main New York library,
where the weirdos hang out.
It was a cool scene and sequence. It is just a big exposition dump.
Yeah,
so that
that's all Patton Oswalt's character is there for, is to tell you all the lore about Garaka.
Yeah, which the Garaka is this demon, and they tore off his horns, and that made him mad, and he
went on a murder spree, and then he got trapped by these firebenders and put in an orb, and he's been mad ever since.
There you go. The end.
That's the whole lore.
And then he broke out, as we know, which Patton Oswalt also knows because he has to, because he's the exposition bot. But he broke out during that weird little, we find out is like a rich person gathering of looking at cool shit while they drink, and they looked at the orb and they released him, and then they got put back by a firebender. And then we find out that Garaka's actually not like a demon or a ghost. He's a god. He's a deity.
Yep.
Because we got to. Because, again, we got to play the hits, and this is the second ones where we do the god storyline.
And Patton Oswalt just so happens to have the recording that activates the orb in the library, and he shows it to them
and plays it.
And so the little ghost that haunted Podcast's equipment,
which we didn't talk about, so this is a ghost that's called a possession ghost.
He just steals, he just takes over your shit.
Yeah, he can hop from object to object to object and like just inhabit that object and just jump around. Much like a poltergeist in like real life.
Yeah.
So he basically grabs the recording, shoves it in a trash bag, and possesses the trash bag, and then like runs away. Which we're gonna get another fan serve here. For those of you keeping score at home, because the library ghost from the first movie is still in the library because we never went back and caught it, apparently. Or we did, and it's back. There's no explanation that will be given. The library ghost is still there, and Ray still gets scared by the library ghost because the library ghost does the exact same thing that it did in the first movie, which it shushes you, and if you're not quiet, then it goes... The end.
Very dumb.
So... I wrote gross, but I don't know why. Literally, it just says gross.
Is it because the statue outside gets inhabited by the ghost and then Phoebe and Podcast suck at fighting it?
I don't know.
Well, that happens.
Gross. Yeah, basically Phoebe causes more damage because she's ghost busting when she's not supposed to be ghost busting. But this one was in self-defense, and I call bullshit on everything that happens after this.
She gets arrested.
She doesn't get arrested yet. She gets brought into the police station because she's not supposed to be busting the ghost. And the police did show up to the library to, like, do police work because the mayor is mad at the Ghostbusters, so the police are going to do it now. And she destroys one of the New York City lions that is out front because it was possessed by the little possession ghost. And
it was pouncing at her. It was going to kill her.
Yeah. She gets a whole lecture, and basically the mayor shows up and is like, and this is the second time this has happened. So the first one was like between Phoebe and her mom, and her mom was basically like, are you going to do X, or are you going to say something you'll regret, basically? And
are you going to be cool, or are you going to be an asshole?
Yeah. And then
Phoebe chose asshole.
And then it happens again with the mayor, where the mayor's like, so are you going to behave, or am I going to have to put you under arrest?
And it jump cuts directly to her in handcuffs.
And it jump cuts during the last time, and I was like, it'd be so much more interesting if I could actually see these really big Phoebe blow-ups, because I feel like that would just be really interesting to watch. Of her, like,
yeah, what if we spent an extra 3 minutes observing Phoebe have character growth into this anti-authoritarian figure?
Yeah, like, let me...
Give me a fucking reason for her to be such a dick.
Let me see Phoebe cuss, like, the mayor out. Like, freaking... It felt like such... I get that it's, like, the joke. Like, I get that it's a bit that they're doing, but I'd rather see her, like, legitimately cuss out the mayor. But we can't do that, because that's a bad example.
They try to make up for it a little bit with Paul Rudd going, I really thought you were going to choose behave. That was crazy. It's a little humorous, but it's like expecting an A-tier joke and getting a C-tier joke. It's like, well, you got a joke, but like,
it wasn't the one you wanted.
Is it what you wanted? You got a Christmas gift and it was socks and you needed socks, but did you want them? Did you?
The answer for James is yes.
The answer for me is yes, but that's irrelevant.
So we all know what's going to happen, and this is kind of where the movie just kind of falls off for me, because we know that the orb's going to open.
We know
And
Garaka's gonna show up.
we know that Phoebe's going to be part of saving the world, and the Ghostbusters are going to save the world, and everyone's going to eat their words. And so it's just kind of like...
The rest of the movie is so paint by number.
Mm-hmm.
But there's one color.
We get some gross spoken word poetry of the Ghostbusters theme by Paul Rudd.
I couldn't tell if it was like serious or funny. I could not tell.
Like, yeah, I couldn't tell if, like, does the Ghostbusters theme exist in this world?
It does, because there's yeah, because they show the music video with Ray Parker Jr.
Oh yeah,
it does. He quotes the song. It's like, is this supposed to be tongue in cheek, or is he trying to be genuine? And if it is genuine, why would you do this? Why would you do this? God, it's so dumb.
So
Garaki gets out.
Not yet. We got to do Phoebe doing her whole dumb shit.
I want to be a ghost because I'm different.
Literally. She decides to go with Melody.
Having a moment.
She decides to go with Melody because she wants to be a ghost. And this has
temporarily.
been... Temporarily. But, like, this has been, like, sprinkled throughout the movie that this is kind of what Phoebe wants to know what it's like to be a ghost. Because
For no reason.
I want to know what it's like to be a ghost. I said this, I wrote this down. I was like, if Phoebe dies trying to be a ghost, I will literally forgive this entire movie, everything. Because what Phoebe's plan is insane. She's going to go into this experimental technology that they haven't tested really all that much. Put herself, it's the thing that extracts the spirits out of the objects. She's going to put herself inside it. Run it on, like, a fucking pre-coded program so that she doesn't have to be on the outside to run it. Put herself in the thing. Extract her essence out of her body for 2 minutes, because that's arbitrarily how long your spirit can last outside your body, ? I
guess.
And then her spirit will go back into her body.
I guess.
No questions asked. Without any help from the machine. I don't know. And this is what Garaka wanted to have happen, and he knew that this is how this would work, and he knew exactly that this is how this would go down. Like, the yada-yadaing that has to happen for Garaka to get out of this orb, because apparently it has to be a human voice that speaks the magic chant. So what Garaka does is, Phoebe miraculously doesn't die. Her body, or her soul does leave her body, and she becomes a ghost briefly.
And doesn't do anything with that experience. She just sort of walks around the lab.
And Garaka possesses her because he can control ghosts
from inside his orb.
Yeah, not out yet. Possesses her, and then makes her spirit say the chant, which also makes her body say the chant, which is the human voice that he needed.
Which then melts the orb down, releasing him, and then she plops back into her body.
And Lucky almost dies. Lucky should be dead.
Yeah.
Twice.
And then most of Manhattan probably also should be dead, but
no one dies.
Not on screen anyway.
I also wrote, like, if they killed a main character, I would also forgive this movie. Like, if anyone died. If Lucky had died being frozen right there, like, ballsy. Like, that's something. No one dies.
Nope.
Everyone literally gets frozen to death.
Yep.
And does not die.
Yep.
So I will say this. Garaka, before he puts the horns in, I didn't like the horns edition.
He goes and smokes some fucking smoke shopkeeper.
But, like, his design, like, as a villain design, is actually really creepy and cool. Like, he has, like, these long ice fingers.
You thought so?
I liked it. I
was so bored by it.
Once he put, like, the horns on, I was like, ew, I hate it. But, like, before then, it had, like, this really creepy, like, almost Slender-Man-y ice villain feel. I thought it looked good. Yeah, he basically goes and is like, because the name of the smoke
finds a
shops
smoke
is
shop
a
called
fire
Firemaster.
firemaster, and he kills that dude, even though he knows where the firemaster apartment is apparently, because he goes straight there.
Which is where he gets his horns, which are the source of his extra power. It's like adding nuclear batteries to his brain.
Apparently,
I don't. It's a movie's fucking stupid. Okay, it made $200 million and it's fucking stupid. Pursue your dreams.
uh, I had questions about why all the children were just allowed to like do whatever and not be in school, and then I figure out it's summer, like this far into the freaking movie.
Is it because they showed the beaches
Yeah.
and it was everyone just doing beach activities?
Yeah.
And children were playing on the beach?
They make a really big like effort to show how pretty and summery it is right before like the freeze happens, and then I was like, oh,
This,
okay.
by the way, if you watch the trailer for this movie, you've seen all of Frozen Empire.
Yeah, because this is the only part of the movie that's actually Frozen Empire. You think it would be the whole movie, which would be really cool if like it started off as like, oh, the Ghostbusters, they're struggling, blah 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 blah. Oh, this orb got released, now everything's frozen, and then they have to like conquer that. That would be way fucking cool.
It would be an absolutely arguably cooler movie if Garaka gets out in the first 10 minutes, ices Manhattan, and then spit like maybe he does it without his horns, and then he needs to like get his horns in and rest so that he can charge up to go do it to the rest of the world or whatever. And that time period between when he's iced over Manhattan and when he's going to be powerful enough to do it to the rest of the world is the time frame the Ghostbusters have to figure him out and bust him. Like that would have been an infinitely better movie front to back, and you could have done just about everything that you wanted to do, but also it would have made sense to call it Frozen Empire, but also it would have just been a better movie.
Yeah.
Like he ices Manhattan, and you see that happen in the trailer. Like you don't have to watch the movie. Watch the trailer and go, "Oh, was the rest of the movie good?" No. You could watch the trailer and you've seen all of it. That's not good.
We get a lot of yada yadaing and stuff about them getting ready to fight Garaka, and Phoebe has to like melt down one of the fire poles because it's made of brass so that she can line her proton cannon with brass, and that'll make it so that she can hit him. Because we learned from Lucky's little fight with him that the proton packs don't work on him.
Yep.
All the old Ghostbusters show up. They all suit up.
Including Winston, who was like staunchly against suiting up last movie.
Yeah, or no, like not even last movie. Like 10 minutes ago in this movie,
true.
Winston was like, Ray, we gotta stop doing this. This is supposed to be our golden years. You need to stop doing all this ghost stuff. Like, go lie on a beach somewhere. We can't be doing this, man. And then 10 minutes later, he's like, zip, and in his fucking Ghostbusters outfit. Like, and even Janine gets suited up because reasons. And it's just like fan serve on top of fan serve on top of fan serve in this last little chunk here with these guys. I really like the Possessor Ghost. I don't know if I mentioned that, but I think it's a cool concept, and I liked watching all the stuff with him. It's, man, is it the plot device of the century, but it is interesting to see. It has a couple few really good moments there. Like he possesses one of the photon, what is it called? Proton packs. I think it's proton packs. I don't know. Suddenly I'm questioning myself. But he like possesses one of those and like tries to shoot at Trevor and Lucky, which doesn't fucking amount to anything. Oh no, Slimer eats him.
He possesses a pizza and Slimer eats it.
Yeah, because podcast hammers the proton pack. Yada yada. There's a lot of stuff that happens in like this last little minute here. One of those things is freaking what's his name? Nadim trying to learn how to be a fire master. Which honestly, that whole sequence of him like being interviewed and then trying to light the candle and then practicing his power. Like all those scenes are really actually funny and quite good.
You mean when they put comedy genius Bill Murray and comedy genius Kumail Nanjiani in a scene together, they did good work?
Yeah.
Wow.
I could
Who could have predicted this?
I could literally watch him throw pens at his head
So funny.
so much.
So dumb. So
Um,
funny.
So like that whole storyline is actually really good. He kind of does just become like
A firebender master out of nowhere.
Aang first season Avatar: The Last Airbender firebending to like Aang third season Avatar: The Last Airbending fire.
Dude, you word saladed the fuck out of that.
I was so close.
Yeah, but you chose to say the whole
I was
title.
going for a bit. You want to fight me?
You could have just said Avatar. Everyone would have known. It's not James Cameron's Blue People Avatar. It's the one that we like.
ATLA.
What is this, Tumblr? Ew. Ew.
So everything's frozen. Garaka shows up. None of the old Ghostbusters get to really do shit other than pull a handle.
They get iced over immediately.
Everyone gets frozen and nobody dies, which is weird because if you remember from like the 1904 Garaka outbreak, like those frozen people were dead immediately.
If you remember the bite of 87.
This isn't FNAF.
What is this, Tumblr?
So like they're all like have like ice daggers at their neck and they're all covered in like ice and they freeze.
Frozen.
Phoebe freezes at one point and like there's no consequence, like none of it mattered. Like they literally get frozen solid and none of them die. So like what the fuck is the point of Garaka's all powerful thing? Like it just, I feel like they wanted to make a different movie and instead the powers that be were like, okay, but what if you crammed in some like more Easter egg shit? And then we got a really shitty movie.
I think Hollywood has begun to suffer. And they have not, producers in particular, and higher ups at production companies have yet to comprehend that we're still trying to make art. And you can't just make the same Marvel movie again and again and again.
Yeah, because there's a sky beam in this one too. I don't think I said that, but yeah, there's a sky beam.
Okay, so here's the thing with this movie, and then I'll bitch about Hollywood. This movie is not, Jesus Christ. This movie's not very good. It's just not very good. The plot is chock full of holes, flimsy as a wet piece of paper, and just unnecessarily complicated for no reason. There's no effort given to make characters seem interesting. There's no effort given to resurrect old characters and make them seem interesting. There's not enough time in the movie to do all the things that you need to do to make the movie worthwhile. That said, this is a great put it on in the background movie. There's enough haha funny bits that if you hear a joke in the background, you go, oh, that's funny, that's clever. There's almost no physical gags, so you really don't need to like look at it. And I mean, the CGI is fine, but like it's nothing groundbreaking.
The same shit you looked at in the 80s.
Yeah, like you don't need to see the movie to experience the movie, which is a good thing and a bad thing. It's a bad thing because movies are for looking at, and it's a good thing because this movie is best served as background noise to another activity. It made $200 million. What that tells Hollywood is all you need to do to make double your budget on a movie is pick a movie that existed 35, 40 years ago, make sure most of the cast is still alive, and do it again.
For example, we're getting a Cruel Intentions remake, which nobody asked for. It,
Hollywood has been bent over backwards because of the unparalleled success of the first couple of properly good Marvel movies. We had Iron Man that was really good, groundbreaking stuff. It was much better than that fucking Hulk movie they had just before it. We had the Spider-Man movies, and we had
Avengers.
The first Captain America and then the first Avengers. Those movies were all quite good, just objectively. They were all quite good. They made astronomical amounts of money. And everyone in Hollywood went, oh, well, let's do that.
There also has been stuff like The Force Awakens and Jurassic World, where
Disney really just can't help themselves.
which those aren't even Disney.
Star Wars is.
Jurassic World's not. But like where they're like, oh shit, we can just redo the same movie
With the hot new actors.
and if we throw in like the bait, the fans will like, and it's really what it is. And it was nice. Like I like Jurassic World and The Force Awakens was great, and the Ghostbusters Afterlife was great. I buy into the shit. I shouldn't, but I do. It is fun to go and be like, oh look, it's the Ghostmobile and like all this stuff. Like it's cool. When they did the big reveal of the Jeep in Jurassic World, it was great. But like, again, it's kind of like what I said in the last episode. It's good for one movie. You can't do it for the entire series, which is Jurassic World didn't, and that's why they have 3 of them. Although this one's about to get another one, so what the fuck do I know? All that aside, the end of this movie, the lore for Garaka doesn't matter. Because the whole thing about Garaka is he can only be stored in brass. That's like the whole bit.
Oh, yeah, and then they just put him in a ghost trap.
Well, they just put him in the ghost storage thing that was broken, but now it's fixed. He broke it. He literally released all the ghosts out of it. And they're like, well, if we do press these 3 buttons, like Ray tries to explain it. To be fair, they do this whole bit where
they actively vocalize yada yadaing how they do this.
Yeah, because like Ray's
Ray, I don't care. I trust you. Do the thing. And Ray goes, okay.
And so like Ray presses 3 buttons on the ghost containment unit, and it just
that to me was funny because I like it when movies acknowledge that they're being stupid. And I really like when movies are like, this is dumb. Like, I can't think of another specific example off the top of my head, but that moment with Dan Aykroyd and Bill Murray was literally like the movie going, we don't have a good answer. Oh no.
But like the other thing is that's not soundproof, so like Garaka can still talk to the other ghosts.
Yep.
Like again, you get to the end of this movie after learning all the lore about Garaka, and again, I'm a lore person. As we learned from Wonka, I'm big on lore. I spent all this time learning this lore for Garaka, and then it gets to the end of the movie and none of it fucking matters.
No.
Brass doesn't matter.
No.
Firemaster doesn't matter. Fucking can't be caught by protons or traps. Just put him in the containment unit. It's like a big trap, right? Can't talk to ghosts because you need the sound quiet, like the soundproofed room. He's fine in the ghost trap. It doesn't matter. Okay.
The mayor wanted to disband them, and then people were like, I think he changed his mind when one person called him dickless.
Yeah, he was
I was like, that is not a lot of pressure for a New York mayor.
Well, he didn't care. Like, to be fair, he was literally like, I'm shutting you all down, and like the crowd was like getting like antsy, and he got flustered. And that's when Gary came over, and he's like, well, it sounds like we have your full support, Mayor. And he was like, yeah. That's it. That's the end of the movie. And then there's a mid-credit scene
with the Stay. I didn't even watch it.
It's the Stay Puft Marshmallows, and it like I said, they have like they do this really. It was cute. I like. I like the little demented Stay Puft Marshmallow people.
I'm gonna make you watch Minions movies.
I've seen them all.
Oh, that's right. You worked with children. Never mind.
And not only that, when we went on our Royal Caribbean cruise, they only play the bad DreamWorks movies, so I watched the Minions and the Penguins.
At least the
Anyways,
Penguins of Madagascar was good.
That's also one last thing before I just let this go. At one point during the fight with Garaka, the possession ghost takes over the Ghostmobile and crashes it. And then at the end of the movie really wraps up with like all these ghosts are loose, so the Ghostbusters have to go do ghost busting, and Trevor gets to drive the car, and Phoebe gets to be in the gunner seat, like the whole movie never fucking happened. And there's no damage to the Ghostmobile.
Well, it is.
At all.
Well, I'll say this for that car: it is 60 years old and made of steel, and it didn't crash into anything of substance, so it was almost definitely just going to be fine.
It didn't get a single ice spear. It didn't have nothing happen during that fight.
It crashed into the bicycles and nothing happened to it. It was always going to be fine.
Touche. I did forget that it already got in a crash and was like perfectly drivable.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's it. I'm kind of like all done talking about it because I've said I actually wrote "gag me with a spoon" during my notes because
What is this, 1983? God.
yes.
No.
Because
Ew.
like the Phoebe starts to lose control of like the proton gun at one point, and then like everyone, her whole family comes around her and helps her whole. Yeah, because the real power is family all along. Yeah.
This ain't no Fast and Furious movie.
James is right. You could put it on the background. It's fine for that. The first one was much better. The end, I don't really have anything else to say.
It
4 out of 10 would not watch again.
The problem we have is Hollywood has been gifted oodles and oodles of money to make bad movies, and the lesson that is learned by execs who want more profit is, oh, we just rinse repeat. That's all it is. Rinse repeat. It's half the fucking movies nowadays. You want to watch movies that are not rinse repeats, you need to find weird directors. Dig into horror movies. There's a bunch of new horror movies that are coming out or are already out this year that are just interesting new concepts for stuff. There's Robert Eggers, I think that's his last name, is doing a Nosferatu movie, and his stylistic tendencies are really interesting to me. Like, that's going to be a movie worth watching. The Marvel has sort of figured it out that they're no longer drawing the crowds that they were, and no one likes some of the, like, most people don't care for the stuff that they're doing. The Star Wars fanboys have ruined Star Wars indefinitely. Every time a show starts to pick up steam, they're like, herder, no. And Disney cancels it immediately because they're scared. When we're at a very interesting time in the country, not just because it's an election, but because we're at this point where the systems in place in the country have allowed for corporations to become mega corporations. And the more mega corporations we have, the more fingers they have and the more pies that exist, and the worse everything gets because of it. So the bigger Disney gets, the worse Disney movies are. The bigger studios get, the worse their films are. The way to beat that is to watch indie movies, watch weird movies, hunt down trailers online, look for weird and interesting and unique shit. We've been talking a lot online. The discourse has always been, oh, Hollywood can't write anything new. Not true. They are encouraged not to. We are in a cycle where we are encouraged not to make new and interesting art because we can make more money copycatting.
I mean, we're getting a whole redo of
Harry
Harry
Potter.
Potter for
no reason.
Literally no reason. And the writer is all up in arms because he's like, I just want to have creative control, and I haven't even read the books because I want to be able to tell my own story, and J.K. Rowling won't let me. And I'm like, literally, don't then. Just don't. And if you wanted to do something creative and in that IP, there's about 10 billion other stories from that universe you could tell. They just did it for the video game where they just created this whole other freaking character and lore and all this stuff. They did fuck with some shit, which happens every time they try to retcon something in the Harry Potter universe, but I digress. But like you could tell the Founder's story or the Marauder's story or literally anything else. Like, we don't have to keep telling the same story. At least I'll say this about Suzanne Collins. She's expanding her universe. She is going in there and she is writing the stories for Haymitch and for Snow and like doing shit like that. Unlike Stephanie Meyer, who just wrote the entire same book series from Edward's point of view. And same with freaking E.L. James for 50 Shades. Like, there's other shit we can do. And even that's more interesting than retelling the same fucking story beat for beat again. And in some ways, though, I feel like they can't win. Because if they don't tell the exact same story beat for beat the way that people think it should be told, they get roasted. But if they tell the same story beat for beat, they get roasted. Like, there's not a winning for them. They can't be creative and they can't redo the same stories. So, like, just don't do it at all. Find new stories. Write new stuff.
Watch indie movies.
Listen to the digital creator. Oh, I'm gonna get on a soapbox because this reminded me. Listen to the digital creators out there that are actually making new shit. There's been this whole freaking hullabaloo, which if you're not in tune with it, I would see why you missed it, about the show called Edge of Sleep, which was contributed heavily by Mark Fishbach, who is Markiplier from YouTube, and everyone in Hollywood basically told him to go fucking kick rocks. Like, they were like, no. And so he was like, fine, fucking bet. We're doing this my way then. I tried to play by your rules. I tried to do it your way. We're doing it my way. He self-funded half the movie. Got
TV show.
Got Regency to back the other half. Put it on Amazon Prime, and
it soft released 2 days early.
It soft released 2 days early. He was handcuffed about promoting it until then. Like, all the shit. They really tried to lock him down, and he was like, what do I need to make this successful? And they're like, well, you just need to hit the top 10 for like this X amount of time. He's like, just the top 10? That's it? Because if you don't know the power that Markiplier has, he commands millions of fucking people at the drop of a hat. They did this for his podcast too. He said, get my podcast to #1 on all streaming platforms within this time period, and he made an OnlyFans. That shit happened so fast. And same with Edge of Sleep, which, go watch it, it's a good show. But it went into top 8.
And stayed there for like 2 weeks.
Longer. It was there until like this week. Like the past 2 days it dropped out. It went to top 10, and it even claimed the third spot, I think is the highest it went, on Amazon Prime within the first 24 hours. And that was on the soft release. So, like, there are people out there that are making interesting, really cool shit. And those are the people we should be supporting, and those are the stories we should be focusing on and telling, not repeating the same trash over and over again. The end. I'm done. I'm off my soapbox. We're gonna watch. Speaking of redoing the same shit, and
we're gonna watch a Hunger Games.
We're gonna watch a Hunger Games movie. We're gonna watch The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. God damn it.
That's your fault. You put it on there.
Oh. Yeah, because it'll be good content. Okay. I don't even know. I didn't expect to, like, go off on this much of a tangent about this fucking movie. And our child is semi-stirring, so we should probably wrap this up for the night. If I'm really lucky, we'll get another episode in this weekend. But I'll have to be really lucky. I don't see any reason why we can't do it. We'll just have to see the way the weekend plays out. But until then, we will keep in touch. See y'all when we see you. Thanks for tuning in. We appreciate all of you. Like, comment, subscribe, tell Hollywood to suck it. Share this with your friends. Go watch Edge of Sleep. It's on Amazon Prime. It was actually really interesting. It's rough around the edges. I'm not gonna oversell it. There's definitely some cleaning up that needs to be done, but for like a small budget production on a semi-original concept, like, it's really good. Especially it was also filmed during 2020 under like crazy restrictions. So go give it a watch. Give it a chance. Expand your horizons on your content that you consume. And yeah, we will be around and see y'all when we can. I'm still here. I'm just typing. Ghostbusters. Yeah, it is an expanding of the thing. You're not wrong. I wasn't wrong when I said it too. To be fair, they tried to expand the Harry Potter universe once already. And they almost got away with it too, and then they decided to be assholes to Johnny Depp before the trial, and that's what killed that series. Not that it had that much love to begin with, but it was at least better than what it became. I didn't even hate the first two. Night, Green Gorilla. I miss talking to you on a regular basis. I miss streaming. That is a terrifying image on the background that I just unveiled. They failed Harry Potter. Also, Cursed Child should just burn in so much hellfire. I hate that Cursed Child even exists. If that ever gets made into a movie, I literally will quit. I will not watch that movie. Maybe for like episode 400 or something. We're getting close. We're over halfway there to another tier list and 100 episode. So it'd be 200. I have an idea to make James watch some episodes of Glee and have him talk about that instead of 50 Shades Darker. But I'm gonna put some feelers out that, see how other people feel. See what y'all think. I think it'd be funny. Because Glee retrospectively is it's just so bad that I feel like it'd be really funny because James never watched it, so I feel like it'd be funny. I think it'd be a good time. James is too busy watching hockey. I don't know. Would it be better to listen to James talk about Glee or 50 Shades Darker? I feel like lots of people have trauma wrapped up in Glee that we don't talk about. See, it would be funny. I feel like there's only so much you could talk about with the 50 Shades movies, but man, Glee, that's a whole untapped vein. All right, y'all. Have a good night.